Pope Francis has passed, and with his death, the Church faces one of the most important decisions in modern times. Who will lead next? Behind the Vatican's closed doors, one name is rising, Cardinal Tagle. He's been called the Asian Pope Francis. Now, he might become the next leader of 1.4 billion Catholics. Among the names whispered in Vatican halls, one stands out more than most. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, a 67-year-old Filipino prelate who's been groomed in many ways for this very role. Progressive, humble, a voice for the poor, Tagle's journey from the streets of Manila to the corridors of the Vatican mirrors much of what Pope Francis stood for. And many believe Francis touted him as his successor, quietly positioning him over the years. As the conclave prepares to begin, the world is watching and wondering. Could the Catholic Church, after its first Latin American pope, now elect its first Asian pope? Could Tagle, known for his charisma, deep faith, and strong social justice stance, be the man to carry Francis's legacy forward? In this video, we'll explore why Cardinal Tagle is a front-runner, his rise through the Church, his strengths and controversies, and whether he really has what it takes to wear the white cassock. Tagle's rise, from Manila to the Vatican. Luis Antonio Tagle's story isn't typical of most Vatican power players. Born in 1957 in the Philippines, Tagle came from a modest background, with deep roots both Filipino and Chinese. His family wasn't rich, but they valued faith, education, and service, values that shaped his entire journey. Originally, Tagle didn't plan to become a priest. He wanted to be a doctor. But fate, or as he likes to say, God's sense of humor, led him to the seminary. There, under the influence of the Jesuits, his path shifted. Ordained in 1982, Tagle spent years as a professor and seminary rector before earning his doctorate in theology. His rise was steady but not flashy, until Pope Benedict XVI made him Archbishop of Manila in 2011, and then a cardinal just 1 year later. But it was Pope Francis who truly elevated Tagle. In 2015, Tagle was elected president of Caritas Internationalis, the Church's global charity arm, the second largest humanitarian network in the world. Francis was reportedly impressed with his leadership, calling him to Rome in 2019 to serve as prefect for the Congregation of the Evangelization of Peoples, one of the most powerful roles in the Church, responsible for global missionary work. And in 2020, Francis made a bold move, promoting Tagle to Cardinal Bishop, the highest rank among cardinals. For many Vatican watchers, this was a clear signal. Francis saw Tagle as a potential successor. Why Tagle is called the Asian Pope Francis. If Pope Francis was known for his humility, social justice, and inclusiveness, then Tagle isn't far behind. In fact, many have called him the Asian Pope Francis, not just because of his personality, but because of his vision for the Church. Tagle is known for his soft-spoken, approachable style. He doesn't command attention with power. Instead, he inspires with compassion. In the Philippines, he was known to ride the bus to work, refuse luxury, and live simply. At his seminary, his room had no air conditioning, no TV. Even as a bishop, he stayed connected with ordinary people. But it's not just humility that defines him. Tagle is also a champion of the poor. Like Francis, he has focused much of his ministry on marginalized communities, from the urban poor of Manila to migrants across Asia. He's also been outspoken on controversial issues inside the Church. On LGBTQ Catholics, Tagle has called for more compassionate language, criticizing the Church's harsh words of the past. On divorced couples, he's advocated for more inclusion, echoing Francis's tone of mercy over judgment. On global migration, he's urged churches worldwide to be hospitable to all, warning against ethnic and cultural divisions. Tagle's style is relational. He's not a distant theologian. He's a storyteller, often bringing personal anecdotes into his sermons. He uses social media, Facebook, Twitter, even YouTube, to reach a wider, younger audience. In a world where the Church struggles to connect with modern life, Tagle is seen as someone who bridges tradition and modernity. The criticisms: what could hold Tagle back? Despite his popularity, Cardinal Tagle isn't without controversy, and in the high-stakes world of Vatican politics, every weakness matters. One of the biggest criticisms? His leadership style. While Tagle is beloved for his pastoral care, some inside the Vatican question his administrative skills. The most high-profile example? His time leading Caritas Internationalis. In 2022, Pope Francis removed the top management of Caritas after a review found issues with leadership and morale. Though Tagle wasn't directly blamed, he was at the helm, and it raised questions. Can he manage the massive bureaucracy of the Vatican? Can he lead not just spiritually, but structurally? Then there's his soft approach to politics. In the Philippines, Tagle avoided direct confrontation with controversial leaders like Rodrigo Duterte. While he criticized extrajudicial killings during Duterte's war on drugs, his tone was measured. Some saw this as wisdom, others saw it as weakness. He also faced backlash for linking abortion and murder in a country deeply divided on women's rights. Critics accused him of being too conservative on some issues, despite his progressive reputation. And finally, there's his age. At 67, Tagle is young by Vatican standards. Cardinals often hesitate to elect someone who could reign for decades. Long papacies like John Paul II's can shape the Church for a generation, and not all cardinals are ready for that kind of commitment. Cardinal Turkson, the African contender. While Cardinal Tagle garners attention as the potential first Asian pope, another name keeps surfacing: Cardinal Peter Turkson of Ghana. At 76, Turkson is one of the most senior African cardinals and a veteran voice in Vatican affairs. He was once a top contender in the 2013 Conclave before Francis was elected, and now, with the Church's center of gravity shifting towards the global south, many believe it's Africa's time. Turkson's profile is impressive. Former president of the Pontifical Council for Justice and Peace, known for his advocacy on climate change, poverty, and economic justice. A conservative theologian, but with a strong social conscience. Fluent in multiple languages with deep ties to both African and global Catholic communities. His appeal? The Church's fastest growth is in Africa. A pope from the continent would signal a powerful shift, recognizing the vibrancy and faith of African Catholics. But Turkson, like Tagle, faces obstacles. His conservative stance on contraception and homosexuality may clash with the Church's more progressive elements. He's also older, and while some see this as a positive, others prefer a younger, longer-term leader. Tagle versus Turkson, two paths for the Church. Both Tagle and Turkson represent the future, but in different ways. Tagle, progressive, media-savvy, humble, a continuation of Francis's reforms with a focus on Asia. Turkson, socially conservative, politically aware, a symbolic leader for a growing African church. The conclave could swing either way. And while both men are seen as front-runners, conclaves are famous for surprises. What's really at stake? A church at a crossroads. The death of Pope Francis has left the Catholic Church not just mourning a leader, but standing at a crossroads. For the past decade, Francis shifted the tone of the papacy, from power to humility, from rules to mercy, from walls to bridges. Now, as 138 cardinal electors prepare to enter the Sistine Chapel, they're not just choosing a new pope, they're deciding the future of the Church. Will they continue Francis's vision, or pivot towards something else? Tagle, Turkson, or someone unexpected? Cardinal Tagle represents a clear continuation of Francis's path. He's young, globally minded, and deeply committed to social justice. An Asian pope would be historic and signal the Church's growing reach in regions long underrepresented. But Cardinal Turkson brings a different kind of history. As a potential first African pope in over 1,500 years, his election would recognize the power shift in global Catholicism, away from Europe toward the dynamic faith of Africa. And yet the conclave is never predictable. For centuries, favorites have fallen. The saying in Rome goes, "He who enters the conclave as pope leaves as a cardinal." From John Paul II to Francis, the most powerful popes of modern times weren't always the front runners. The Holy Spirit and the politics of 120 men locked in one room often surprises. A global church, a global decision. What's clear is this: the Church is no longer a European institution. With more Catholics in Africa, Asia, and Latin America than ever before, the conclave reflects a global faith. Whoever is elected will face a world in flux: declining church attendance in the West, rising faith in the global South, the ongoing challenge of sexual abuse scandals, LGBTQ inclusion, women's roles, and secularism, and the need for a pope who can connect with younger generations while holding on to centuries of tradition. White smoke and a new era. Soon the cardinals will vote. Soon white smoke will rise from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel. And soon the world will hear those words again. Habemus Papam. We have a pope. Will it be Tagle, the humble, progressive, media-savvy Asian Francis? Will it be Turkson, the strong, justice-driven African voice? Or will the conclave deliver another surprise, as it has so many times before? No one knows. But what we do know is this: the choice made behind those locked doors will shape the soul of the Catholic Church and the world for years to come.